Drake lost $2 million betting on Adesanya to beat Pereira. If he would have just listened to me, I told you he was going to knock him out. I said the third round. It happened in the fifth. Would you ever? I would never. But I could have Bezos money, and I'm not betting $1 million on sports. You want to know why? Because I know how sports goes. I know exactly how sports goes. Would you?
I would not. Would you bet $2 million in other areas, like you on the golf course or you at the poker? If you had Bezos money. You just said if you.
Oh, you got Bezos money?
That's what you just said.
No, I'm not. It's a waste of money. No, I'm not.
Because then you're involved in it.
You know what I'm doing? You're
betting on yourself.
I know it's betting on yourself, but also I've seen myself play golf, and I know the stuff.
Oh, golf, yeah.
What I'm the best at, what I'm good at. So I would bet on that. Golf is, well, I'm not terrible. I'm pretty mid, actually, which is a compliment when you play as little as I do. To me, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. Poker, okay.
I'll take $2 million.
You know what I'll do?
If I had Bezos
I'll go a little
money.
World Series entry fee. I'm fine with that. That's not a ton of money. I'll go in there and see how it goes down. I lose. Hey, we'll shake hands. At least it was fun. But $2 million, you would definitely do it, Blaine.
If I had Bezos money, at some point, I need to start getting rid of some of this. Like, I just need to feel something again. Bezos money? I'm trying. You have enough money. You got to a point where you make so much money, you think about going to other planets.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
You think I care if I put $2 million down on a UFC
I just
fight?
don't. It's not worth the stress that comes with it to me. It's not worth it.
I don't trust other people that much.
No, that's what I'm saying.
If you have Jeff Bezos money and you put that down, you're not stressed over $2 million. You're relieved.
No, well, see, maybe
because you have more room in the bank.
Maybe it's just because I've obviously never had an inordinate amount of money like that. So I think that's just a totally different feeling. But I would be fine every day, waking up, flipping that phone on, going to that bank app, looking at that number and saying, you know what I'm going to do today? Whatever I want.
Yeah.
I'd much rather take that money, go get a couple Ferraris, take the boys out around town, Christmas presents, stocking stuff for Ferrari? What?
I would just want it in a room.
What did we say?
In like in 20s, and I would just walk around and look at it and just ask people, are they tricking me? How did this get here?
Yeah, well, me and Blaine talked about if we ever became millionaires or whatever, like the minute one of us hit like $1 million, we got like a group of friends. I think we told you about this. We have a group of friends where we're not going to call you. We're going to find out where you are, and we're going to show up in either a sports car or a limousine. And when that happens, I don't care if you're about to get married, if you're about to have the first birth of your child, you have to get in.
No questions.
So we shook on it. No questions.
Really?
First person hit $1 million, we're just going to show up, pick everybody up.
Driver with gloves is going to get out. Cool little hat.
Yeah, cool little hat. Yeah, he's going to
grab your
like
bags.
This.
Either you get in or you don't.
Yeah.
Know
if you don't get in.
Lloyd Christmas from Dumb and Dumber? Is that who's driving the limo?
No, it's
I need him driving.
It will not be a male. It will not be a male.
Unless it's Alfred.
Yes, unless it's Alfred the
If
butler.
you ever get in a situation where you have Bezos money and you're trying to figure out a way to get rid of it, don't go Joker and light half of it on fire.
Yeah, I
call your
cringe
buddy.
every time that scene happens.
Call your buddy.
I don't know if you've seen $20,000, David.
Yeah.
Unless in the movie.
Unless maybe in the movies. The college football playoff race heats up. The Vikings beat the Bills in a showdown for the ages. And our buddy Brandon Marcello is going to join us to tell us if Lane Kiffin is going to be the next head coach at Auburn and more. I'm Jake Crane. It's Monday. Welcome to Crane & Company. The Pac-12 did their best Jeffrey Dahmer impression this weekend when they cannibalized two of their three legitimate contenders for this year's college football playoff. UCLA lost at home to Arizona, and Oregon lost a hell of a game in Autzen to Michael Penix Jr. and the Washington Huskies. Now, it seems their only hope right now to get into the playoff is for USC and Caleb Williams to run the table the rest of the way, which includes the Pac-12 championship game. Now, that won't be easy, seeing as they got to play UCLA in a rivalry game, and they're pissed off, obviously. Then Notre Dame at home, who's hotter than Sherman Klump in a sweat lodge right next to a volcano right now. Now, can USC do it? Anything is possible, but the defense is going to have to step up and play well against good competition. The Trojans' best win is against a pesky Oregon State squad, and while Caleb Williams is a Hogwarts-certified witch, this team doesn't seem to be the elite of the elite. Now, if you're a Tennessee fan or an LSU fan or a Clemson fan or any team on the cusp of the playoff, watching the Pac-12 eat their own was sweet music to your ears. The biggest question now is, which conference will get 2 teams in? Will it be the SEC? Will it be the Big Ten? Either way, we have a heck of a finish on deck. And there's still new blood in the mix while mainstay Alabama is seemingly out of the running. So stay tuned. It's about to be a hell of a ride down the stretch here. I'm going to bring in my co-host, former Michigan quarterback, and should be the backup quarterback for the Rams right now after I saw J.G. Wentworth's son. Or
There's a few teams out there.
Played for him. Goodness gracious.
There's a few teams out there.
That guy's making league minimum? I'll do it for half a league minimum.
Saw Chase Daniel come in and just throw the ball all over the place. I'll go in and overthrow it for a couple million. I'll be home by dinner.
Look, I'll overthrow it and throw the check down all day.
Come on,
me all day.
Austin Eckler on my team?
Dude, I'll hand it off so good. You have never seen somebody hand it off so good.
Mesh point, done.
Come on. I'll be the Peyton Manning of handing it off. My other co-host, Lane Crane, former Western State, Colorado wide receiver, and the mustache is back. It's
Look
back.
at that thing. Glorious.
You're on audio. Hey, look, you did this one right. You did this right. The question is, what if we let it ride here a little bit? Like,
I'm going to be honest with you. I went full goatee.
You went
shaved it.
Oh no, yeah. Did you like it?
I looked at myself in the mirror. I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah, but I'm talking about let the mustache. What do you think about going down? Like, the handlebars all the way down here.
I have a lot of questions.
We're in Nashville.
My thing is, Blaine's mustache account on Twitter, one of the greatest Twitter accounts you can follow. What happens then if it becomes a Fu Manchu or a goatee? Is Blaine's mustache
probably another? Twitter account gets made. Another handle gets made. I want a deep bag when it comes to facial hair.
Yeah.
That didn't work out well last time because there was a Blaine's beard and there's a Blaine's mustache.
Well, look, sometimes the greats collide. That's what it is, and you got to.
It's like
got to find out who's going to.
What do they say? An unstoppable force meets an immovable object.
Sometimes
we're going to find out. But speaking of the playoff, guys, the Pac-12, you got one shot at this now. Let's be realistic. 2-loss Oregon's not getting in, even if they win the Pac-12 championship. 2-loss UCLA is not getting in, even if they win the Pac-12 championship. 2-loss Utah is not getting in, even if they win the Pac-12 championship. It is all on USC's shoulders. And the crazy thing is, even after those 2 losses, I still think USC is the weakest of those 3 teams. I really believe that. UCLA is going to be upset. They play USC next. The Pac-12 does cannibalize their own. We talk about the Big 12. The Pac-12 does have a record of cannibalizing their own. So if USC loses, all right, we can play the hypothetical game. It's a sports show, so we're going to play hypotheticals. If USC loses one of those games, I'm talking about including the Pac-12 championship, and the Pac-12's out. If you're Tennessee, in my opinion, you have to feel amazing. You want Georgia to win out. You want Georgia to win the SEC championship game. And that Ohio State-Michigan game is the last one of the season, so that is a late loss for one of those two. I don't see how they put a team that just lost their last game in the regular season, that didn't make the Big Ten championship game in the playoff, over Tennessee, whose one loss is on the road at Georgia by 2 scores.
And on the Michigan-Ohio front, there's already precedent for that. My senior year, this could be the first time that these teams have met undefeated since 2006, which was my freshman year. Michigan lost by 3 on the road in the Horseshoe. We were begging for an opportunity to rematch them in the national championship. It didn't happen, and it was probably the right call. We went on to lose to Southern Cal. They went on to lose to Florida in the national championship. There is precedent for if you lose that game, you cannot win the division, you can't win the championship, and you can't make the college football playoff. Now, I know Michigan fans are saying, well, it's different now that there is a college football playoff. Perhaps Michigan with a close loss on the road could sneak their way in, and that's possible. And while you want to handle your business this weekend against a good Illinois team at home, that game, you could lose that game and still make the college football playoff, just like Michigan last year lost to Michigan State, because everything is going to come down to next weekend. On the Pac-12 front, though, it was already going to be a challenge for Oregon to get in, because that one loss they had, it was at the beginning of the year, and they've gotten better every single week, but it was a 49-3 loss to a Georgia team. So it was a bad loss. And then UCLA did lose on the road at Oregon. Oregon manhandled them. It was already going to be a conversation to be had. Now, with Southern California, I agree with you that I think Oregon and UCLA are both more physical than USC, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They're more balanced. They're more complete teams. USC, though, has huge brand recognition. Brand recognition shouldn't come into play in the college football playoff, but it does.
It's life.
It does, okay? Huge brand recognition, and their only loss, I continue to say it, is by 1 point on a 2-point conversion on the road against a very good Utah team. That's going to matter if they end up beating UCLA, Notre Dame, and possibly Oregon back to back to back. They'll be in.
If they win out, they're in, without a doubt. Blaine, another team, and I didn't put them in the open, is North Carolina. I mean, if you're a North Carolina fan, And again, Mac Brown, the sneakiest coaching job. This has been the sneakiest, best coaching job. Because people are talking about North Carolina, but not nearly the way they're talking about everybody else. Blaine, this North Carolina team, if they went out and beat Clemson, which, NC State's not going to be easy. If they went out and they beat Clemson, I think they're in. I really believe they will put even though that one loss is not nearly as good as Tennessee's, I think with that Clemson win, they would put North Carolina in over Tennessee if they win the ACC championship. I really think they would.
I mean, conference championships has to matter, right? I mean, to a certain extent, but I don't.
But does Clemson get in if they win the ACC?
That was my question. What if it's a one-loss Clemson team?
Yeah, but see, here's my point. Clemson and North Carolina are both going to be highly ranked. So the winner of that game has a huge advantage because they just beat a big-time team to win their conference. So one of the two, obviously one of the two is going to win, one of the two is going to lose. It's how much jump and push would that win for the ACC championship be? And we've seen Clemson get in before. We've seen ACC teams get in. What are the chances North Carolina gets in?
I mean, they're high, but I don't think an ACC champion gets over. I mean, if USC wins out, I think USC goes in.
Yeah, I'm saying if USC loses a game.
Okay.
Let's say USC loses to UCLA this weekend.
Okay.
Pac-12 is totally eliminated.
Done.
North Carolina beats NC State. Forget who the second team they play is. I think it may be, a lower level team, let's put it that way.
Yep.
And then they beat Clemson, who is a top 10 team in the ACC championship. North Carolina's going to be in. Now, to me, it's a race right now between USC, North Carolina, and TCU. Those are the three that I'm looking at. I'm not talking about the guys on the back burner that have one loss, that don't have a chance to win a conference championship. That is the most interesting race between those three because what happens with those three is going to dictate what happens with Tennessee and some of these others. So it's very, very interesting, and I can't wait to see it. But something else that's very, very interesting is coffee. And if you want the best coffee, Black Rifle, I'm telling you guys right now, I drink it every morning. I have for probably going on 7 months now, somewhere around there, even before they sponsored the show. It's fantastic. If you go to blackriflecoffee.com and you use our promo code, do this now, save yourself money. Have you seen the economy? BOOSTER, that's the promo code. You get 10% off your first order or when you sign up for the new Coffee Club subscription. Now, the subscription gives you free shipping on all your Coffee Club orders, early access to club deals and promotions, and special discounts from their partner brands. That's blackriflecoffee.com. Use promo code BOOSTER for 10% off of your first order. Veteran owned. It's unbelievable. And remember, when you sign up, you become a member of that coffee club. Black Rifle Coffee, supporting veterans and America's Coffee. Cone, you put me on to Black Rifle.
Yeah, I did. Win-win-win right here. If you order Black Rifle Coffee with this promo code, it's a win-win-win. Win for us. It's a win for you. You drink great coffee. It's a win for the veterans.
Blaine, you're a pretty big coffee drinker.
Start every morning. I mean,
yeah.
Every morning I have to have it.
I do want to say as well, Ron and Jill, congrats on getting married. Want to give you guys a shout out.
Nice.
Tying the knot. Really appreciate you guys supporting the show, and I hope you have an unbelievable wedding and unbelievable life after that. Speaking about an unbelievable life, it's an unbelievable life in the Booster Club.
All right, let's go to Jimbo Eagle with the $10 donation.
Jimbo.
And thoroughly convinced that Monstars stole the talent of the entire Syracuse Orange football roster beginning with the second half of the Clemson game because I do not recognize this squad right now. Not a good...
Talking about a tale of two seasons.
Yeah.
The way Syracuse started and the way they're finishing. Garrett Schrader going down didn't help. Del Rio just couldn't do it. He just couldn't throw. I'm surprised that Sean Tucker's been bottled up as much as he has. I didn't expect him to have the year he had last year because everybody knew he was really their biggest threat. And then Garrett Schrader came onto the scene, the Mississippi State transfer, and they were rocking and rolling. Now, look, the schedule has gotten tougher. Okay, the schedule's gotten a little bit tougher, but they're just not playing well. Whether it comes down to making adjustments as the game goes. But Dino Babers, they've already technically won the season, I guess, because he was on the hot seat, fellas, before the season. And now, you have money that's starting to get pumped in there. And I firmly believe that Syracuse is a place that you could win. I firmly believe that. But no, they've kind of fallen off a cliff here lately.
All right, let's go to Old War Skull. 88, $5 donation says, good morning, gents.
Jet.
Good morning, gentlemen. Great day in Louisiana. Go Tigers. And Porter submits Chandler a banger. # came for Ben. # stay for Clavin. # Daily Wire plus for Craning.
Shout out. We love our Louisiana.
Love that.
We love our Louisianans.
Go Tigers.
All right, let's go to Lincoln Mets, $5 donation.
Thank
says,
you, brother.
Cone, would you rather be the head coach of Ohio State and beat Michigan or have to wear Blaine's J. Crew style kids clothes for the rest of Hey, first of all, man, first of all, you don't talk to wardrobe like that. All right? How dare you?
Well done, sir. Well done, sir.
First of all, I would wear that with pride.
You would.
And second of all, look, man, look. I could be the head coach of the Buckeyes.
You could.
You know?
You'd have to say it, though.
Huh?
You'd have to. What if
Oh,
that, what
I'd
if
be
that
in
was-
there.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
The Columbus State Buckeyes.
That's exactly
what I'm
right.
gonna
That's
do.
the cone at the press
My
conference.
mom's from Columbus, Ohio. People forget, man. People forget. My mom's
You
from
went
Columbus,
against the
Ohio.
family, Anakin.
Hadn't heard from her side in a long time.
I thought you were about to say hadn't heard from her in a long time. I was like, BS,
Yeah.
you talked to her yesterday.
Mama jumped through the roof when the scholarship offer came. But the rest of the family, hadn't heard from them.
Yeah, that's exactly right. What rest of the family? One of the family.
All right, let's go to Jimbo Eagle. If Notre Dame beats USC, I think we see 2 SEC teams in the college football.
I think it's going to come down to, again, what happens in the ACC. Part of me, the craziest part is, part of me thinks that if Clemson wins it with 1 loss, that Tennessee gets in. If North Carolina wins it with 1 loss, North Carolina gets in. I swear some weird stuff like that can happen with the way the committee rolls. We'll see. Is that right? I don't know. But here's the thing, and that's what's nice about the 12-team playoff. Obviously, everybody that has a chance is going to get in. But are we really trying to get the 4 best teams? Like with 1 loss or less, right? Undefeated gets you in, then it gets to the 1 loss. Like, we really want the 4 best teams? Because if you want the 4 best teams, Tennessee's got to be in there.
Yeah.
They got to be in
over
there.
Notre Dame, over Clemson, over USC, over TCU.
Yeah, I mean, Notre Dame's got 3 losses. They're out of 5,000. But, like, when it comes down to
Notre Dame.
if North Carolina wins the ACC, I'm telling you, they're not better than Tennessee.
Mhm.
They're not a better football team. Is TCU better than Tennessee?
No.
TCU goes to Georgia. What's the score of that game?
I think being undefeated matters. It's not just
I'm
about a
with that.
conference championship.
I'm with that.
So if TCU, if we're talking about a 1-loss Tennessee team that didn't even play in the conference championship, or a 1-loss, let's say a Michigan team that doesn't play in the conference championship, over an undefeated TCU, we have to throw out the idea of, but I think on a neutral site, this team would beat that team. Now, we can do that if it's also a 1-loss team like a North Carolina that wins their conference championship.
Yeah, you have to have the comparables. I think there's some things that trump, hey, eye test, this team had 1 really good loss. Being undefeated in a Power 5 conference and winning that conference, I think trumps that.
That's what has frustrated a lot of people about Notre Dame, is saying, okay, yes, you went undefeated, and anytime Notre Dame goes undefeated, they're going to be in, period. But them not playing in a conference, a lot of people are saying, well, you don't have to play that last week of the season where everyone else is having to defend themselves in a conference championship. Notre Dame hasn't been able to do that. Now, it won't come into play this season, but Notre Dame has gone full Game of Thrones around the country.
Oh, they have.
Beating the top 3 ACC teams. They might single-handedly say, ACC, you're out. Pac-12, you're out. Like, we're going to play spoiler for the whole country.
If you put Notre Dame's 3 best wins and their three worst losses, and you just slid them to somebody that loves college football but just woke up from a coma, they'd be like, what is going on? It is so topsy-turvy. But again, I think it's a credit to Marcus Freeman being able to get those guys going. How funny is it that the 2 teams, in my opinion, outside of obviously Georgia, who's dominated, the 2 teams that have shown the most growth and have made the biggest jump in how well they play are coached by Brian Kelly and Marcus Freeman.
It's a win-win
It's
there.
the Matrix. 1 more, and then we're going to get to best and worst.
Let's go to Copperhead22 with a $10 donation.
Copperhead.
It said, morning, boys. Long-time listener.
What's up, brother?
First-time chatter. Hey, well, welcome.
Welcome.
But after the abysmal no call on the Juju hit yesterday, I got to hear your thoughts on it. And P.S., Blaine is the owner of 7-Footer Island. You're damn right.
Wow. Don't gas him up. Don't gas him
good.
up.
Less responsibility for me. I didn't ask for that.
Yeah, Blaine's.
I didn't ask for that. Like Maximus Decimus Murilius.
Doing a great
I didn't
job
want to be
showing people around.
I didn't want. No.
What do you mean no? What do you mean no?
No.
Power
I've
move.
resigned.
Here's the power
I'm
move.
not just out here working.
You can't resign.
It's like a work.
Where you gonna go?
You know what I mean?
It's an island, Dave.
Wait. Have you heard that
It
new island
is an
coming up?
island.
8-Footer Island?
Yeah.
8-Footer
Good luck with that.
Yeah. Now let's see
Well,
what
we have
happens
to
when you
keep
do a
that-
little
we had to keep
free
that
market,
underground.
a little free market competition now.
Look,
you know?
if you have 8-footers walking around, please show the world.
I'm like Maximus Decimus.
There's one
Meridius. I didn't ask to be emperor.
That
okay,
6'3",
Blaine?
9-year-old.
Tell Boban that to his face.
The no call hit, the no call in Juju Smith-Schuster, and I'm a defensive
I thought
guy.
they called that.
And
I thought they threw a flag and picked it up.
I believe they
People
did.
flag.
I believe. Is he
thought
talking
they
about
picked it up.
Juju? Or is he talking about somebody else?
No, yeah, I mean, I saw this hit.
Reed had the Chiefs
Right.
over and the Jags over. I was watching that game on Red Zone.
I saw this hit, and I thought a flag got thrown. I'm not positive if it got picked up, but it was
may have
such a
got picked
stoppage in the game. If they go back and it was helmet to helmet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm pretty positive it was that. But it was such a stoppage in the game. I don't know how you not throw a penalty.
Mm-hmm.
It was bad.
You know, I wonder when DBs and defensive players are it's going to get to a point where when you have somebody coming across the middle or you have somebody running to catch a pass down the sideline, you no longer even try and hit them above the waist. You just go and just take it, which to my opinion is more dangerous.
There were a couple bad ones.
You want to talk about breaking your neck? Like imagine running full speed and instead of hitting somebody where they're going to catch the ball or launching into their head, which you shouldn't, you just literally launch right for their knees and they do 3 flips in the air and land. Because that ball's going to go flying.
There was one on Chris Olave yesterday.
I almost feel like you got a
Steelers game.
Dude, Olave's gotten smoked like 2 or 3. He got knocked out a couple weeks ago.
I
he
thought
got
he was
absolutely
knocked out
filleted
Falcons.
on the
I'm pretty
sideline.
sure he got knocked out against the Falcons.
But in Juju Smith-Schuster's absence, who stepped up?
Kadarius. I'm looking around at the Giants like Brian Daboll is an offensive wizard. Like he's so good at using his personnel and using his pawns to win the chessboard. How could you not find a way to get Kadarius Toney involved? If you watched Kadarius Toney at Florida, you couldn't touch him in a phone booth. I mean, this guy was making NFL defenders look stupid. And then you see him with the Chiefs, and it's not like he's just taking the jet sweep or doing anything like that. He's making contestant catches on the sideline where he's forced out of bounds and coming back in. He's such a threat in the red zone. It's just another piece for Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy to be able to use as we go down the stretch. It was funny. One time I saw Kadarius Toney in motion, and he's still getting used to the speed of the motions, and you could hear Mahomes go, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up.
Yeah.
Like, and
Well, it's such a great fit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Kadarius,
It really
man.
is.
You know they're trying to replace Tyreek Hill, and you can't do it. I mean, you got some guys in there.
Well, they've had more explosive plays this year than they did at any year. At any year with Tyreek Hill
statistically,
at this
I don't
point.
think that's right.
I swear it is.
I don't think that's right.
I've heard it every week.
I heard it's the
4 weeks.
same. I heard it's about the same.
I believe it's more because Tyreek is having just as good, if not better, a year than he's had with the Chiefs, with the Dolphins. He had another touchdown yesterday and was freaking out. But we'll find that out. Fact check me on that one. Let's go best and worst.
Best and worst. Where do you want to start?
Let's start with college.
Do it.
All right, look, my best is a little mixed, guys. It's a little low level, not high expectation mix. So when I say not high expectations, I am talking about the player or the fans, not the players and coaches. Obviously, the players are going in there expecting to win. I'm talking about Vanderbilt fans. There's not a ton of expectations. That's why the stadium looks like it does. Until maybe you're in the game halfway through the second quarter and people start showing up. I don't think the fan base has a ton of expectations. And why would you? Why would you? I'm talking about football specific. In baseball, they have expectations. In basketball, they have expectations. Hell, if they wrote a book, it'd probably be called Great Expectations. But in football, they have not had any expectations. You mix them in UConn, and Jim Mora Jr. needs to be in the running for Coach of the Year. You talk about flip that house. You took a haunted house that they had half knocked down. You turned it into the Great Gatsby's house at UConn. You're going to a bowl game at UConn. They were a laughingstock last year. They got beat. They got beat by somebody early in the year last year that was like Sister Margaret for the deaf, poor, and blind, and also limbless. Like they got beat by somebody that was terrible. And now you flipped it that quick in 1 year. Kudos to Jim Mora Jr. Kudos to Dave Benedict, the athletic director, for hiring him. I think Dave's one of the best athletic directors in the country. UConn is very lucky to have him. Thought he handled the Kevin Ollie situation fantastically. He caught some heat for that, but people don't understand how unions work. And it just blows my mind. But Jim Moore Jr. and Vanderbilt going to Kentucky. Hey, Mel Kiper, how good's Will Levis now, bud? You gonna take him in front of Bryce Young? Look like a cartoon character. It doesn't make sense. UConn and Vandy. Never thought I'd say this. Best college football of the weekend award goes to UConn Vandy mix. The Husky Commodore, UConn Vandy. You love to see it. Shout out to Clark Lee, too.
UConn was the worst team in college football last year.
They were.
They really were. Now they're bowl eligible, all right, 6-5, and Jim Mora, in one partial offseason, just beat a Hugh Freeze-led Liberty team whose only loss was by 1 point at Wake Forest.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy? Vanderbilt has a better record than Texas A&M. I want you to think about that. And look, I don't want to come on here and pile on A&M. On social media. On social media, I just made the point of an interim coach is talking about Auburn is beating a coach that's worth $90 million. That just goes to show you how unpredictable football is in general. And that's what makes it great. That's what makes it a hell of a sport. But just how down, and I hate it for A&M. I hate it for them. And I have fun on social media with them because they do a great job on social media. They have them in Tennessee, I think, are two of the most dominant social media teams in the SEC. And I have fun with them. We love Billy Lucci. And we have a bunch of Texas A&M fans that watch this show. And Texas A&M it feels like they're the one, it was Georgia. We were waiting on them. Auburn hadn't won one since 57. They win one and then go to one. Alabama's obviously gone on this run. Florida's done it. LSU gets off the mat again, 2019, wins the national championship. Looks like they're cruising to have another chance within the next 4 to 5 years. It seems like A&M is the next one to get off the schneid, but it's just not happening yet. And I want A&M to be good.
Yes, I do too.
Like for their fans, because they care. They actually care. Is the Yale stuff a little bit different? Do you have fun with it? Yes. I'm all for a tradition. Just have better jokes. That's my thing. But A&M, it's just, at some point, it's like, come on, man.
I will always root for a program that's as invested as Texas.
It's exactly right.
A little bit delusional here and there sometimes with but the worst thing you could say about a program's fan base is they're indifferent.
That's exactly right.
Texas A&M is far from that.
That's exactly right. Almost to a fault. My worst is A&M, and that's what we just brought up. Look, Auburn is a big win for Cadillac Williams. It just shows you. That's why I laugh at these guys that say Auburn's a bad job. We talked about it yesterday. They just packed the stadium out for an interim coach, had a huge recruiting weekend, and got some positive momentum back. And I don't condone telling a coach who to retain. I don't like that. But I do feel like in life there's some circumstances where when you are the head coach taking the job, you need to be able to read the room. Talk about reading the room. I think it would be coaching malpractice for whoever takes over that Auburn job if they don't keep Zach Etheridge and they don't keep Cadillac Williams. Yep. I don't know what capacity or whatever, but those two guys need to be here. Zach Etheridge is about to flip a recruit, and Auburn doesn't have a full-time head coach right now. Those two guys are rising stars in this league. The Cadillac Williams story is absolutely unbelievable. Kid from Atala, Alabama, working his way up, had an unbelievable career, great NFL career, was a high pick, and now coming back and doing this. It's just a great story, but A&M, man, it's just... it's a Fall Out Boy song right now, to be honest with you.
My best from college football this weekend was North Carolina. Yeah. When you pull up the records, it either has a W by it or it has an L by it. Now they put the scores and you can say, they only beat this team by 1 or they beat that team by 2. When you look at it, North Carolina sits here right now with only 1 loss. Okay, to the same team that Clemson has 1 loss to. Drake May continues to impress me when the football comes out of his hand. And more than that, for a young guy to be able to make some of the decisions he does with throwing the football away, I'm telling you, he's going to be right there in the running for the Heisman. Now, he's going to play the 2 toughest defenses he's faced in North Carolina State and in Clemson, and he's going to catch them back-to-back, last game of the season and in the conference championship. Let's see what happens in both those games. He continues to impress me, but more than that, this defense, which has struggled so much and gave up over 40 points in the 4th quarter alone to Appalachian State. Yeah. They pitched a shutout in the 4th quarter against Wake Forest and Sam Hartman when it mattered most. They rose to the occasion because that football game was starting to look like whichever team gets a stop first is going to win. Well, Wake Forest stopped North Carolina a few times. Then you had the missed PAT. Yep. Looked like a situation where maybe North Carolina is forced to go for 2 and is going to end up losing, on the last possession. The defense stepped up to the plate, and as we sit here right now, North Carolina at least is in the conversation for the college football playoff.
Yeah. They have North Carolina's in the conversation for the college football playoff and have a legitimate Heisman contender. Pretty good year for the Tar Heels.
That's wild. That is wild. My worst, it has to be Kentucky. Look, I still think that Mark Stoops is done and is doing a great job with this program. And while you haven't had the season that you were hoping for, the losses on the road to Ole Miss and Tennessee, those are acceptable.
Understandable.
Very good football teams, and you lost on the road in the SEC. Home losses to South Carolina and now Vanderbilt, to me, are unacceptable, especially when you have returned a lot of your players. I mean, you have a quarterback who, like you said, Mel Kiper Jr. seems to think is a top 5 draft pick.
Did he take him over Bryce Young? Like, your opinion's void forever. You don't know football.
But and while I disagree with Mel Kiper on that, and I think we all do, he's still a very good college quarterback and should be able to, at home, beat teams like Vanderbilt. But big shout out to Vanderbilt. You already highlighted them. You can talk about expectations or no expectations. Clark Lee is a good football coach. I think he at least has this program headed in the right direction. Will he win back-to-back 9-win seasons like James Franklin did? I don't know about that just yet. But I think the worst from this week going to have to be Kentucky.
Yeah, and Will Levis came out and said that he wishes that everybody on the team would be as excited to play Vanderbilt as they were Georgia. You wonder if there's been a couple times this year where, sometimes when you move up in life, you may start to take things for granted that you didn't. Even the simple things. It seems like Kentucky has gone from living in a house in a decent neighborhood to a moving to the suburbs, and now you got a Publix and a Fresh Market all around you, and you don't think about, maybe I can splurge here, or maybe I can take this for granted. Kentucky got where they were from out efforting and out executing people and taking every play as serious as it needs to be. You wonder if maybe there's been a little bit of maybe complacency or a little bit of arrogance when it comes to preparation and knowing you have to show up for every game. I think that might have been what Will Levis was talking about, or maybe it was the mayonnaise lattes. I don't know, Blaine.
Or eating banana peels with the peel on, which is still disgusting to me, and you put mayonnaise in your coffee. But hey, one shout out Vandy, obviously. I've been rowing the boat and been anchoring down this
about to say.
What's the difference? But hey, Vandy fans, I know you got expectations. Don't listen to him.
I know
you don't.
Not high expectations. I'm not saying they don't expect anything, but they don't expect to go out there and beat Kentucky on the road.
You damn right they do.
Yeah.
They don't walk in the game like, hey, we're going to lose. We're definitely going to lose this game. No.
I think they do.
Team like Vandy, Boston College.
Yeah.
Jeff Hafley and the boys needed this one. Needed this one just for the charisma and the chemistry of the group. Haven't beat a ranked team in 25 games. 25 games, you go to NC State, pull this dub, and Emmett Morehead 330 yards through the air, falling a little
backup quarterback.
Backup quarterback. Yeah, backup. I mean, after what happened kind of last weekend against Duke, you're not looking great, but you come back with a big win. These guys needed this. And my worst is the Oregon defense. I mean, and Oregon, you had everything in front of you. Everything in front of you. I mean, I know you got 3 or 4 tough games out of stretch, but you have a good enough team, especially in the Pac-12, the way Bo Nix is playing, the way you're running the ball, the defense, and you just absolutely fall apart in key moments in this game. And now your future of the college football playoffs is done.
Yeah, I do want to say we got some merch. You need to go check it out. We're going to put the link up where you can see it. Go get some merch. Really appreciate it. It's some great stuff as well. Go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe as well. Let's go one question booster club, then NFL best and worst.
I've got some donations here.
Hit them.
Jimbo Eagle, $5 donation. Says, y'all remind Matt Walsh to update his roster this week because the Ravens are on a bye. What are the chances he scores under 30 points? I mean, probably pretty high. Probably pretty high.
Talk about fantasy after what Justin Fields, Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, don't get me started. All right, William Wells, $5.01 donation. Thank you, William.
Thank you, brother.
Gene Chizik was a DC for UNC in 2015. Last division champ for UNC, just like he is this season.
Yeah, and it started off rough, and they were able to turn it around. But Chizik,
2 national championship winning coaches on that roster right now.
Look, it's not an accident.
That defense is terrible for Notre Dame. I mean, for North Carolina. Terrible.
Yeah, I mean, well, again, Gene didn't recruit that personnel. He needs some time to get his guys in there. He's kind of having to mold clay out of what he's got.
Let's go to David S., $10 donation.
Thank you,
First
David.
of all, go Gators. Second, we need to give some love to Oregon State's Jonathan Smith. The Beavers were such a mess before he took over. The work he's done, and Corvallis is criminally underrated.
Oh, I agree with you. And we've talked about Jonathan. For some reason, I called him Jonathan Norman, I think, like for 2 days. I don't know. I never met a Jonathan Norman, and maybe some subconscious thing. I may have got kidnapped when I was a kid or something. I don't know. But, I would not be shocked if Oregon State beat Oregon. If Oregon goes to Oregon State, the Civil War, the last game of the year, I would not be shocked if you saw Oregon State beat Oregon. But I'll also say this, and we talked about this last week. Corvallis, great football town, but the Oregon State's uniforms are so, I will say it every day. They are absolute gas. They're in every sport. The baseball ones, I mean, you talk about stashes. 90% of Oregon's team has that mustache with flat bills and an unbelievable uniform. That's why they're good.
The orange and black color scheme is top tier.
It's top tier.
Like Road to Glory, me on Road to Glory.
It's top
I'm orange
tier.
and black. I'm orange and black.
Yeah.
It just elevates your skill.
Halloween meets the darkness. You'll love to see it.
Oh, wow. Trey Bodenhammer with a $5 donation.
It,
he was on here telling lies. That's what
did he lie about?
He says Dave is the owner of 7-Footer Island.
Yeah.
Jake is the secretary. Always wakes up and chooses violence. Don't say that, then use my saying. All right? Don't do that. You know who the owner is. Now,
Secretary.
Give me your pass. Give me your pass.
It was your own
You're no
mustache.
longer allowed in 7-Footer Island unless I get a written letter, a written apology.
No, here's the thing. As I'm sure you meant to put Secretary of State of some.
No, you're
I'm not
David
out here
Secretary.
getting caught. Okay. Well,
That's what he said.
Oh.
I didn't say that's what he said.
I think he's going to clarify.
If I self-appointed myself as owner and manager of 7-Footer Island, do you think I would have put myself in an American flag top hat and a suit like that?
Yeah.
You're going to get out there.
Actually, now that I say it,
By the way,
I probably,
by the way,
I like that.
I need a promotion. I don't want to be secretary anymore.
You're Secretary
you're
of
gonna have a
State.
Secretary of State, Secretary of
It's already done.
Secretary of Violence.
Because now Jake is going out and he's looking for other islands.
That's
We're trying
exactly
to expand.
Right. Oh, I'm buying islands.
You know,
I'll give you
Speaking
a
of
cane, you
Bezos.
can act like you're limping through the thing. Next thing you know, you roll over. Hey, I'm David Coe.
I've seen that movie.
Like Willy Wonka.
Freakishly huge.
Yeah.
Except I'm not letting little kids come on the lawn and touch their hands and do all the chocolate river and stuff like that. Nah, get out.
You okay?
Yeah, look, they came in and they messed things up.
All right. Okay. Lincoln Mets with a $5 donation.
You know this to be true as well. They're floating up to the ceiling, causing problems in the.
We all
chocolate
float
river.
down here.
Let's go to at Cone. Ward Manuel just called me. He stripped your field access for saying you would coach the Buckeyes. 6 months suspension from them.
They haven't removed my field access yet. What has been going on?
Cone,
You
what
mean
have
I could have been sitting on the field this whole time?
By the way, you ran
No.
into Taylor,
Hey.
Lawan.
Yeah, Jersey
Lane ran into
Mike's.
Taylor. Jersey Mike.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah.
I ran into Lawan.
Top tier
I'm trying to
sub
get him on
plays.
here before the big
Right,
game.
right behind Jimmy John's and Mama Goldberg's. Jersey Mike's right there.
What did Lawan say?
He's like, man, Jimmy John sucks. I was like, dude, I know. Good talking to you.
Dude,
That's
stop.
exactly what he said.
what he
He didn't even
said?
talk about anything else.
He didn't say
He's like,
anything
hey, I was
else.
like, hey, Blaine. He's like, Jimmy John sucks. I was like, good seeing you, man. Just walked out.
Jimmy John's is top tier. I would, if I could eat.
Looked like he was moving around well, too.
Good.
Good.
Hey,
Good.
Titans first in the division. That's
Hey,
a great segue.
First in the division, and what was I about to say on the the field access? If this game were in the big house, man, I'd be there next week. We'd have to go. We'd have to go.
Why did you not say we?
Yeah.
Like I'd go without you.
You plotting on
You
it?
said you would go, so you obviously were
I
going
thought-
without
It's the
us.
royal we,
Can we bring
the editorial.
Bring the
we.
Ohio State jerseys in. Thank you.
Yeah.
We need to just deck this place out with
Plotting on
Ohio
us?
State stuff.
All right, let's get to NFL best and worst. My NFL best, I think it's the greatest catch in NFL history. It's the greatest catch ever. I think it's better than Odell Beckham Jr.'s. I mean, you had to do it more
It's a
traffic.
legitimate debate.
But like, I know OBJ's there was a pass interference, but
Yeah.
at one point you were by yourself when you caught that. Let's go. We have the Justin Jefferson clip, correct? Let's pull the clip up. Let's pull the clip up. This is and this you had to have this.
Yes.
Like that's what to me the biggest thing. It's 4th and 18. Kirk Cousins above mid quarterback's going to drop back here. There's 2 minutes to go. You're down by 4 because you can't trust kickers. Watch this catch by Justin Jefferson, who's been balling the whole game. Let's run the clip. Nick Fury, please report to the principal's office. We found one. Oh, he goes up one hand and brings it down. How does that ball not hit the ground? Look at 30 for the
It's
Bills.
an all-time great
It's
catch.
an all-time great catch. It's the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life. Watch this in slow mo. If you're on audio and you didn't watch this, you need to go to YouTube right now and watch it. Now, the
Look at
defender
that.
trying
Look
to
at
pull
that.
the ball away keeps it up, but the concentration, the clutchness, the effort. And I tell you what, how LSU in 2019 didn't beat everybody by 50 with the freak shows running around like this?
They kind of did, didn't
They
they?
basically did.
Like, they barely beat Auburn on the road. How did Auburn...
Derek Brown.
The Auburn rushed 3 the whole game, but it is nuts to think about all these guys together on the field with Joe Burrow. Oh my gosh.
Their worst pass catcher was Randy Moss's kid.
Yeah, think
That
about
is
that.
true.
You know you're in great
Oh yeah,
territory.
and they had Clyde Edwards-Helaire at running back.
Yeah.
You know, the guy who plays for the Chiefs.
They had better NFL receivers on that. Like LSU, that receiving core has better cores of NFL receivers. You got to think Terrence Marshall,
Yes.
starting receiver for the Panthers, absolute dog. Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson and Randy Moss's son. And hey, let's not forget about it. We have Joe Burrow and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. You have an NFL offense.
You had an NFL team. You had, like, so part of me is like, I'm like, Joe Brady may just, like, I'm like, dude, this point, I'm watching this. Like, dude,
Yeah.
I think this coffee could have coached LSU.
Might not be
Whenever
wrong.
you get to that point, when the team's that good, it's not even about the plays anymore. It's about just managing egos. It's like a pro team.
Yeah.
It's like a pro team. It's managing superstar egos. Because you knew after week 3 of 2019 with LSU, like, this was different with what they were doing. I mean, and like Blaine said, it was, who do you double? Who do you double?
Yeah. You
Like,
can't.
there's no answer.
You can't.
The best plan was, like I said, Auburn rushed 3 and just put everybody back and said, you know what? You want to sit back there for 10 seconds and find somebody to throw? That's fine. But we can't. We've got to be able to put more than one body on these guys and try and confuse you.
And while that was the craziest catch that he had, and we'll talk about that one for years to come, he had another half dozen catches.
Oh,
in the fourth and in overtime.
Ridiculous.
Best
That was the best
when his
regular
team
season game I've
needed
seen in a
him
while.
most,
And if
man.
you're the Bills, you've been on the bad side of two of the best games we've seen in the past 10 years.
We'll get to that.
But I want to say this. Josh Allen handled that press conference like a man. He stood up there. He said, it's my fault. They asked him about stuff that was going on, other plays that were made that weren't his. He said, it's my fault. They asked him about the snap. They said it was his fault, which it is. You got to get that snap there. That's the craziest thing. I had Minnesota plus 3.5. I had given up. I was about to look up the address for the kicker to send him a strongly worded letter about how I think his abilities and clutchness, and they were able to turn that around and win. But talk about improbable. The Vikings had like a 0.1% chance to win after they got stopped on that 4th and goal, which part of me thinks Kirk broke the plane. But maybe it's because I had him as my fantasy quarterback because Kyler Murray hurt his hamstring because the new Call of Duty's out. But my worst, Bears defense. I'm gonna tell you something, Chicago Bears. Number one, I'll never forgive you. One of my show bets was a 5-team money line parlay in the NFL. Hit 4 teams. The only team that didn't hit was the Bears. Trash, poverty on defense. Justin Fields finally figures it out. This is the Bears' problem. They can't play complementary football. They can't do it. One side plays well, the other side forgets. The offense had been struggling. Justin Fields goes out there and runs for 200 yards. Makes some incredible plays, throws it well enough to beat him, commits running wide open, and the defense, y'all couldn't stop a nosebleed in a nurse's office. I thought the Bears were supposed to play defense. Y'all got some dude who's with the last name, sounds like he's from a Dr. Seuss book, an Oberflus, eating green eggs and ham and watching Thing 1 and Thing 2 run around and jump off the walls. Just what an absolute pathetic performance by the Bears defense against the Lions and Jared Goff, who looks like he's smuggling gumballs in his cheeks.
Well, you got rid of your best players.
You got beat by the mayor's kid.
You traded Robert Quinn and Roquan Smith. Obviously, you're going to be trash.
No.
For no first round.
But Justin Fields, man, he brought them
Justin
back
Fields
in this
is
thing.
a baller.
I'm telling you, man, Justin Fields, the ceiling is high.
Balling. And he's going through progressions. You see that? I saw him get to the third read 3 times, which is 3 times more than I've ever seen him get to the third read. But I mean, his strength when he runs.
It's like Jalen Hurts running. To be honest with you.
that's true.
Now, I think Justin Fields is even faster, but in terms of the strength running, on that one where he got sacked near the end of the game, it took 3 different guys multiple opportunities to bring him down.
He's like compact. He's not super tall. He's not super wide. He's just like built very, very well. Like he's strong but slippery. Like his obviously his base is really strong. I think that's where it's from. I think it's his legs. It's like Josh Allen, it's the legs.
Now I'm thinking about it. It's like a combination of Lamar Jackson's speed
and
Jalen Hurts' strength.
It really is. And that is, you know what we call that? Weapon X. That's what Deadpool had to fight.
I call it take the long bet on it.
Yeah,
now.
you want to stop the Ukraine-Russia war? Send Justin Fields over there with a football with a missile attached to it.
Blaine, you want to do your best and worst?
Yeah, sure. My best in NFL 1. I would go ahead and mention how cool that's just environment was in Germany. Just phenomenal to watch from the beginning to the end. Man, you thought that was a playoff game or Super Bowl, just the way those fans were acting and interacting. It was just so awesome.
So cool.
But my best is the Dolphins offense.
Nasty.
Right, 39 points. I think this is the best offense in the league right now. It is pick your poison with these guys. Tyreek Hill is already established as himself. Isn't that Justin Jefferson?
If that offensive line blocks like that in the run game with Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert, they're a legitimate problem.
Jalen Waddle out there, best combo. Then you bring in depth at the running back position, and Tua's right now absolutely balling. I'm pretty sure I don't know if he has the most passing yards in the
He's
league.
up there.
He's close. But just absolutely what McDaniels does with this offense with the motions, with the stack, getting his guys in the right positions, and then just the layers on top of the creativity on top of the offense. They're only going to get better at this point. So a team that you don't want to see in the playoffs, I promise you, is the Miami Dolphins.
Can I say 2 things? Like I said, and I'll continue to say it, and our European fans, which we actually have a decent amount of, believe it or not, in the chat or in the comments, I want your opinion on this. I firmly believe that if we put an NFL team like in the biggest parts of Europe, like Germany, France, Italy, places like that, within 10 years, NFL football would be more popular than soccer there. And people say, that's crazy. Soccer's been around forever. They go nuts over soccer. You see, that's a different thing going on when you look in Munich. They were storming the field after the game. You're watching Julio Jones run in there. Listen, I'm all for a good soccer goal. I'm all for a good soccer match. But you're going to look me in the eyes and tell me you'd much rather see some white dude from the Netherlands named like Jodenheimer like dribble a soccer ball up there as opposed to watching Tom Brady throw a ball to Julio Jones who's going to dive into the end zone and seeing those collisions. Come on, Europe. Y'all start all the wars. We know you like violence and physicality. You guys would love the NFL.
I'm going to need you to put some respect on Jodenheimer's name.
Well, look, I will say this. Robin, that's a different story. My boy Robin for the Netherlands, you talk about getting on FIFA and just pulling the wand out and going to Hogwarts for a second.
Hashtag goal.
Yeah, Arnaud Robin, I think that's his name.
Hashtag goal.
Yeah.
My worst, I mean, this is easy for me. Sean McVay in this backup quarterback situation. I mean, John Watford, like you got the guy from the Minnesota Can't Throw Goods to come up here and play. The guy who played at South Harmon Institute of Technology. There's a better option on this set, David.
Yeah.
Was his dad a senator and put in a call to be the quarterback of the Rams? We don't have a better backup in America to come play? Dog, call me. But this was terrible, especially a guy who had Cooper Kupp, who ended with 1.2 points.
That's disgusting.
How does that happen?
That's disgusting.
Is he injured, by the way?
It's questionable.
Okay.
I mean, he's been questionable for a good amount of this year. But how do we go? You're only good as your what? Your backup quarterback. I mean, I don't care if you have to pay Chase Daniel this money or Jimmy G as a backup.
There's going to hit a lick again.
There's plenty of guys out there who are worthy of playing backup in the NFL. But I don't know where the hell you got this kid, and I don't know him, but it's not even close. The dude had a QBR at 18.
Yeah. You can't.
Like, whose dad is this? Like, who's like, this is buddy stuff? How did this kid, like, how does this even
You know who it is?
Point?
It's probably the guy from Chunky Campbell's Soup who's like the CEO's son. You see Sean McVay?
Good God, just terrible
like, listen,
to watch.
Sean, we'll give you an extra $1 million if you let John be the backup quarterback. Sean's like, well, what if Stafford gets hurt? It's like, well, what if all of a sudden we decided to put Josh McDaniels in Chunky Campbell's Soup? They're like, wait a minute, the Raiders are absolutely terrible. Derek Carr's crying in press conferences. You want to hit yours real quick?
Yeah, I'll do mine real quick. My best from the NFL was Jeff Saturday and this Colts team.
We're talking about that in a little bit.
We can all agree that this was an unorthodox hire. I don't know if Jim Irsay really wants Jeff Saturday to be the permanent head coach. If this is just an interim stopgap situation while they search, which is what I initially thought. A lot of people thought this was disrespectful to coaches around the country. A lot of people brought racial elements into it. Say whatever you want. This Colts team hired a former offensive lineman, 6-time All-Pro, Super Bowl champion, and the Colts rushed for 200 yards for the first time this season.
It's amazing, right?
200 yards.
You know what it reminds me of? Who's gonna try and do this next? Like on the Waterboy, when the Waterboy does good, and then Michigan does the Towel Boy, and he gets murdered.
This is the real life Towel Boys situation.
It's a real life Towel Boys
situation. So I don't know if he's going to be the permanent coach. I don't know if other coaches in the locker room, they sure didn't look like they felt disrespected by Jeff Saturday being the head coach. But I do know this: they won a football game. Look, it's against the Raiders. Let's not hand everyone a cookie just yet. But let's don't act like Jeff Saturday is completely unaffiliated with not only the league, but also this team.
For sure.
And then my worst from the weekend, it has to be the Bills. It has to be the Bills. Now, look, I'm still very bullish on the Bills. I'm still very bullish on Josh Allen. I think this team has a championship pedigree, but a 17-point lead in the second half at home. You know, this is a good Vikings team, but you have to hold that lead. And I'm paying attention to two things with great interest right now. One, the job that Brian Daboll is doing with Daniel Jones and the Giants right now, because he might have saved this kid's career.
For sure.
What he's getting out of him. Very much like what Jim Harbaugh did with Alex Smith in San Francisco when he took that job. I mean, Daniel Jones is playing the best football of his life under Brian Daboll's tutelage right now, and I'm paying attention to how Josh Allen responds late in games without Brian Daboll. Because remember, that was his offensive coordinator since he's been in the league, okay? Can Ken Dorsey do what Brian Daboll was able to do, or what Andy Reid is able to do with Patrick Mahomes, or Mike Holmgren was able to do with Brett Favre, which is take this gunslinger mentality and center these guys when it's needed most late in games. Because you're seeing Josh Allen, he's on pace to throw more interceptions than he has since he has been in the league.
Red zone Josh Allen the last 2 weeks, I think he's thrown 3 picks.
And that's where Brian Daboll would come in these last few seasons as offensive coordinator and kind of center that mentality.
Speaking about coming in, our buddy Brandon Marcello is going to hop in from 247 Sports to talk about some craziness going around the college football world, which isn't it always. Brandon, what's up, my friend?
Not much. Can't believe the regular season's winding down.
I know this always happens. It's crazy. I tell people in coaching, it goes even faster than this.
Really?
Like as a fan, it goes fast. But in coaching, just because everything's so segmented and the routine you get into it's like it speeds up as you get toward the end of the year until about the last. But then if you're playing in a meaningless bowl, that stretch between like when you're going 100 miles per hour and the regular season stops to when you get to the bowl, it's an eternity. It takes forever. The days are so long. You get days off and you're like, wait, it's 11:30. What am I getting? Like, I'm going to just go eat lunch? Like, we can just go eat lunch? Like, we don't have to do anything? So I'm with you, Brandon. It's been a hell of a season. I'm glad we got some new blood in here. I want to get to the on-the-field stuff because that's very important. But there's been some reports out there. There's been some whispers. You cover the whole shebang from on the field to off the field. What chances right now, Brandon, would you put Lane Kiffin of being the next head coach at Auburn?
I don't know, but he is the number one guy. I've been reporting that since about 20 minutes after Brian Harsin was fired.
Yep.
People close to John Cohen that I know have put him at the top of that board. I think that's something that obviously will not have itself resolved here for another like 2.5, 3 weeks, maybe even longer. But they're looking for a guy that is just going to make a huge, huge splash and someone who can come in and obviously help them in the transfer portal because they need to, goodness gracious, make so many big changes there for Auburn. But, right now, listen, I tend to judge people by what they show us in their public persona, even if that could be fake at times. But Lane Kiffin has this pattern there at Ole Miss this past year of just absolutely kind of almost throwing his own program under the bus, even if he doesn't realize it, talking about, oh, man, he's upset with attendance in an 11 a.m. game going into a top 10 matchup. He's complaining about the lack of NIL money and how others are outspending them. He's complaining about losing his defensive coordinator, DJ Durkin, to an SEC West rival at Texas A&M because they got outbid. And then just this past Saturday, I think without him realizing it, he starts getting upset because someone asked him about their rushing yardage against Alabama to loss. He's like, I don't care about that. I came here to beat Alabama. And I think that if he was looking at himself in the mirror while he was saying and going on that little mini rant there, he'd go, oh, yeah, I'm 0-4 against Nick Saban, 0-3 here at Ole Miss. Something is holding me back. Oh, wait, maybe it's Ole Miss. So I think if you were to look in the mirror and realize you've probably hit the ceiling there at Ole Miss, being a 10-win program, 11-win program, which is nice. But if you want to win a national championship, you got to go somewhere with better resources, and easier access to the type of talent you need on a consistent basis there, especially through the high school level. And you get that at a place like Auburn. And historically, they've shown that. Ole Miss, obviously not so much.
Yeah, and Lane seems like the person in the breakup. You know how some people are like, listen, it's not you, it's me. Lane seems like the person that's like, yeah, it's definitely you.
It's not
me. It's got nothing to do with me. It's definitely you. Brandon, moving on to kind of what we talked about earlier, looking at the way it's shaking out now that the Pac-12 is, like I said, pulling a Jeffrey Dahmer and cannibalizing itself, it seems to me that we are going to have two teams from one conference in. The question is, which conference is that? Is it the Big Ten or the SEC? How do you kind of see it shaking out? Because the one fly in the ointment does seem to be North Carolina to me. If they're able to run the table and then beat Clemson in the ACC championship, I think it'd be hard to keep them out with the moves that they've made and their loss early in the year. You have a Heisman candidate in Drake May who's having an unbelievable season. But if you had to pick Big Ten or SEC right now, which really is, LSU's out there possibly. Tennessee, we know, is probably the best chance outside of Georgia because I don't see LSU beating Georgia in the SEC championship. Which conference do you think is going to get two in?
I'd go with the SEC right now because of Tennessee obviously not having to play in the SEC championship game. Mm-hmm. And they've got a pretty easy road here at their last two games against South Carolina and Vanderbilt. And their only losses against the unquestioned number one team really in the land right now in Georgia. Whereas with Michigan and Ohio State, what hurts the loser of that game in the game is that it happens later in the season, obviously the last regular season game. And I think that recency bias would hurt them a little bit. Tennessee is in a really great position. They just got to kind of hope for, that they can keep things together. And I was being asked, do they need style points? I don't think Tennessee necessarily needs style points. They just need to wait for how things shake out
Yeah.
ahead of them, which there's going to be a loser in the game, and that's going to open the door up for Tennessee to get in as a 4 seed. So, yeah, I think the SEC is in a very good spot as long as they don't have some craziness happen even in the SEC championship.
Yeah, could
Well,
get that Tennessee-Georgia rematch first round of the playoff, 1-4.
You could get that, or you're talking about craziness happening in the SEC championship game. That could cause 2 teams to get in as well, because let's just say LSU does go to Atlanta and wins. Brandon, are they really going to keep a 2-loss LSU conference champion out of the playoff?
Bama and Georgia?
And then I think Georgia's already going to be in, no matter if they lost in the conference championship. So even if we get some fireworks in Atlanta, Brandon, how do you think that would shake out?
Yeah, that's the interesting question, but I think the committee would sit back and take an LSU over the Pac-12 champion if it's USC as the one-loss champion. I think at that point they would still take LSU. I think that's going to be the question that would really, quote-unquote, maybe hold LSU back from being able to get in all these scenarios. But I think the committee's made it pretty clear by the way they've ranked LSU over the last couple of weeks that, hey, if they keep winning and win this SEC championship, they've got a door opening here to be that first 2-loss team to make it. And the committee is supposed to value conference champions. I mean, it's on their list of criteria. Like, they got 5 pieces, and that's one of them. That's a big one. So I think very well LSU will get in as the SEC champion.
What were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say, it just kind of occurred to me, you know, Brandon was bringing up Lane beating Alabama and stuff like that. I wonder if he sees Brian Kelly go to LSU, not only beat Nick Saban in his first year, but win the SEC West. We all know LSU's a national brand and has everything you need. I hadn't put those two together. I think that was just I think it was a great comment by
it could be. And you brought up an interesting scenario there, because all eyes on Southern California this weekend. You know, number 8 USC at number 12 UCLA. USC is still going to have to play their rival there, play Notre Dame, who's been spoiling everyone's party around the country, and then possibly play an Oregon team in the conference championship. Now, I've been saying, if Southern California, with as big of a brand as they are, new head coach Lincoln Riley, if they go unbeaten the remainder of the season, and their only loss is by 1 point on a 2-point conversion at Utah, which is a good football team, they're going to make the college football playoff. Now, you brought up an interesting scenario there, because if a 2-loss LSU team beats Georgia in the conference championship, and you have either Michigan or the Buckeyes go unbeaten and TCU stays unbeaten, that's really where you're going to have a hang-up. What do you think about this game in Southern California this weekend? And do you like the chances of USC going unbeaten? A lot of dynamics at play with both of these programs leaving the Pac-12 for the Big Ten here shortly.
Yeah, USC is so interesting to me. I've been watching them so closely this season, and you know, early in the year they were carried by their defense, not necessarily as a defense that just keeps opponents in check as far as points, but they were forcing turnovers like crazy. You know, at Oregon State, they should have lost that game, but they won it because they forced Chance Nolan, the quarterback, into 4 interceptions. And of course, USC was able to score in the final 2 minutes to win it on the road. I keep waiting for USC to kind of stub its toe, and they've had some slow starts here lately. The Colorado game, you look at the final score, go, wow, they beat the crud out of them, but very slow start against Colorado.
Yep.
Caleb Williams was struggling a little bit.
Yep.
He's at his best when he's kind of running around trying to create like a Patrick Mahomes back there, and he loves that stuff, but that's kind of been detrimental for them at times, especially early in games, even when the pressure is not there for him. But, you know, it's interesting. The Pac-12 leads all conferences in college football with 6 ranked teams in the AP poll. And they're eating each other up, as you said, Jake. I mean, I don't think there is an elite team there. I think there's like 2 great teams, maybe 3, and it's hurting them. You know, you look across college football this week, there are only 2 top 25 matchups in all college football, and they're both in the Pac-12. And we're even sitting here thinking, well, it's not that big of a week in college football. You got College Game Day going to an FCS game or something like that. I don't even know where they're going. And that kind of just tells you the respect or lack of that we have for the Pac-12. I mean, USC and UCLA is a big game. It's just, you know, the luster's been lost a little bit with UCLA losing the way they did. But I think what's going to be interesting in this one is that can USC kind of match the tenacity of UCLA in the trenches? Because I really like what UCLA does in the trenches.
Yeah, and UCLA is going to be pretty pissed off after losing to Arizona at home.
Yeah, and Illinois at Michigan, I think, will still be a ranked game, even though not as illustrious after that loss to Purdue.
No Travis Dye for USC either.
That's big. But I'm going to tell you, the Jones kid that they put in,
nice.
and the third guy, I'm trying to remember his last name, it starts with an E. He can absolutely fly.
But Travis Dye is
He's
an extremely good back. All right, we're going to go to the mass game film project here. Brandon wants to know, #Ask Brandon, which defense has the best shot of slowing down that Georgia offense when it comes to the playoff time?
Oh my goodness. Tennessee, we know that. Let me see here. I think that to me, the team that's actually best equipped to beat Georgia in the playoff is probably Ohio State because of their offense. And the defense, I think, could maybe slow them down. Georgia's not an explosive offense down the field, as you guys know. I keep waiting for them to get A.D. Mitchell back, which is by far their number one receiver. And at some point, he's probably going to get back on the field, and he'll probably just be in time for the playoff. And all of a sudden, Georgia's going to look like, 2019 LSU out there offensively. But I like Ohio State against Georgia, but just simply because I think they'd be able to outscore them a little bit, and their defense is better than Tennessee. I also like Michigan against them, but Michigan's just a team that just will beat you up in the trenches and kind of dictates the tempo of whatever they want to do and just wears teams out kind of in the second half and kind of do whatever they want. But I keep waiting for J.J. McCarthy just to really kind of have this huge game where they put the game in his hands. But when you got Blake Corum and that offensive line, and I mean, why try to take a lot of risks there? But anyway, back to the question. I think it's those two Big Ten teams that have the best shot. I mean, at Tennessee, Georgia, I think that would be an absolute mess.
I think Michigan's defense, the best asset they have if they play Georgia is Blake Corum to keep Georgia's offense off the field.
Take that clock.
Limit the possessions. I always use the college basketball analogy. Back in the day, you'd have a really good college basketball team playing a bad basketball team with no shot clock. What does a bad basketball team do?
Just
dribble this thing out, baby.
Hold it.
You going to beat us 4-2? You want to beat us 4-2? Beat us 4-2. We're going to give ourselves a chance. But, Brandon, it's always great having you on, my friend. Y'all do a great job over there at 247 Sports. Tell everybody where they can find you on the computer machine and Twitter as well.
At B Marcello on Twitter, and just check out 247sports.com. And big week ahead, I think, for the coaching carousel with assistant coaches, getting fired and everything. So I've got a big piece coming out. I've polled over 100 coaches about who they think is on the rise and who is on the way out potentially across the sport.
Brandon Marcello, very own coaches poll. We appreciate you, my friend.
All right, see you guys.
See you, brother. All right. We're going to get to our Witch of the Week. We're going to get to Rapid Fire. We're going to talk a little UFC as well, some more NFL fantasy and bet. So if you want to watch that, remember, you can stay here if you want to listen. But if you want to watch, head over to the Daily Wire Plus. It's fantastic stuff over there, not just us. Become a member. Listen on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and share it with your friends and your enemies, because one day you could become friends. We'll be right back.
Just saying.
Then the number 13 team would be like, we should have been in.
It always will happen.
We can't even get it right with 68 teams in the NCAA tournament. They screwed Texas A&M last year out of the tournament. All right, Blanye, Booster Club.
I came in longer. All right, Jimbo Eagle, $5 donation.
Jimbo's throwing bread around that
Wow,
day.
Jimbo Eagle.
Appreciate it, brother.
Is this really Jimbo Fisher? He's got some bread to throw around. He's like, hey, man, do you think Jimbo Fisher gets a bad rap?
Is it Jimbo's fault or is it the player's fault for not playing as well?
I'm not bad at gambling. The players are bad at playing.
So I made a bet with next week's opponent. Loser has to go on a Stairmaster for 30 minutes with a straitjacket on. Y'all approve. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Don't forget,
Please
David's
video
getting
that.
shot in the back with a paintball gun this week.
This week.
Taking 5 to the
Hashtag
back.
can't wait. Let's go to online.
Was it 5 or was it 3?
It's 5.
Oh, it was
It's 5.
3.
It's 5. Hold on, let's check the tape.
Yep.
Yeah, it's 5.
Oh, you threw the challenge
Yeah,
flag?
I'm a challenge.
Yeah, let's go to online college dropout. $10 donation. UGA Tennessee playoff rematch. Look,
Who
wins.
Neutral site, Turf.
Choose.
Is A.D. Mitchell back?
Choose.
Tennessee.
Go Dogs.
Yeah, I'm taking Georgia in that as well. All right, let's go to Robert Spofford with a $10 donation.
Thank you, Robert.
Why do a lot of analysts automatically assume it'll be Bama/Georgia in the SEC championship in the preseason? Everyone was willing to hand Bryce Young a second Heisman before he even took a snap. Also, one, I mean, it's hard to after what Georgia lost. I mean, you thought Bama was going to make it. You didn't think Brian Kelly first year was going to make it. But LSU is a type of team if they do start swimming together. Well, then that's fine. But I mean, at the end of the day, this ain't Bryce Young's fault, buddy. He's putting up great numbers, and hell, some people think he's having a better year this year than he did when he won the Heisman.
Yeah, I think, well, I mean, those people that picked Alabama and Georgia, obviously they'd be 50% right because Georgia won the East. I don't think it's ever a bad bet with Nick Saban and Alabama to pick them to win the West with what we've seen in the past. You knew the Auburn situation where Brian Harsin was kind of downhill. Brian Kelly, first year at LSU, while I expected him to do well, I don't think a lot of people expected this outside of the LSU fan base.
Yes.
Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin, a lot of people were on that train, and they should have been. It's been a nice year for Ole Miss, but I don't know if you would pick them to beat Alabama in the West. Mike Leach is always up and down. Arkansas lacked depth on defense, but I thought they'd be the biggest kind of thorn in the side of Alabama because Alabama had to go there as well, but it's an absolute triage tent injury-wise over there. So I don't think it's ever a bad bet to take Alabama to win the West and Georgia to win the East, but it's always nice when the chalk doesn't happen, I guess.
No, yeah, for sure, but I don't know anybody who's not an LSU fan who looked at this and said, man, I think year one, I've watched this Jaden Daniels kid at Arizona State. I think he's going to come out. I think they're going to beat Alabama first year. Look, that would have been such a tough call to make. And you and I both had C.J. Stroud winning the Heisman. So as far as that point,
which could still happen.
I think it's going to come down to the last game of the season.
That could still happen.
All right, let's go to Old War Skull 88 with a $5 donation.
War Skull.
It's Harold Perkins, 4 sacks, 8 solo tackles, 2 forced fumbles with the flu versus Stetson Bennett. Discuss. Yeah, he'll have a good game, but he ain't going to have those type of numbers.
Yeah, well, look, I'm going to be honest with you. Harold Perkins is one of the most talented freshmen I've seen in a long time. It's a shame he wasn't in any of our best for college football, but there were so many this weekend. I had to show Vandy and UConn some love. Harold Perkins is the perfect combination of instinct, speed, and size. He's big enough, but not too big to be able to do everything you want him to do. He can do basically everything. He has unbelievable instincts for a freshman. We talked about Drake May's instincts at quarterback. That is the exact same thing that Harold Perkins has on defense. And 3, you know, when you look at his speed, it's not just straight line speed. His lateral speed, he was running Hornsby down. Hornsby has Olympic speed for Arkansas. Can't throw it accurately from me to that TV screen right there. But Harold Perkins was hawking him like he played in Atlanta. This kid, I am so excited to watch him for the next 2 years. If you're an LSU fan, it's just got to be all good. You just got to be waking up and like the air's sweeter and the birds are chirping like smoother and everything's just nice. Now, I mean, all of a sudden, Bourbon Street doesn't have trash all over. Like, it's what's going on. Yeah, it probably still does. I wouldn't wear white shoes on Bourbon Street. It's a disaster.
Is that your witch of the week? Is that
oh, yeah, let's get to witch of the week.
No,
Okay.
Yeah. Mine's Christian Watson.
Go ahead. Let's start with
the Packers. I mean, I think he had 4 catches, 110 yards, 3 touchdowns.
About time.
And it's as a receiver, man, like you can tell they took this kid somewhat late. He's had a rough year so far. He's dropping passes he shouldn't be dropping. The routes, the cohesiveness between him and Aaron just hadn't been there. But you kind of finally saw it coming together against the Cowboys, and it was fun to watch. The kids catching deep balls. He has elite speed. His hands got to get better. But just watching him grow as a player, being a fullback receiver myself, it's always fun to watch. You can see him slowly becoming more and more comfortable each week. And for all the people who says Aaron Rodgers should be benched, get out.
You should be benched.
Get out. So mine's Christian Watson.
So producer Justine had this idea a while ago for Witch of the Week, and then someone followed up on Twitter.
Yeah.
I can't remember which handle it was, saying y'all should do a Witch of the Week. So we had to start this. Talking about the Georgia Bulldogs, my Witch of the Week is going to be Ladd McConkey.
Ladd.
5 catches, 71 yards, and a TD. Another 70 yards on the ground plus a TD. Oh, do we have this clip here?
Yeah, let's go ahead and
Go ahead
run.
and play Ladd McConkey here.
The law firm.
Drive haven't been as impressive.
Oh, little reverse. Watch this right here. Stick out in. Here he goes. Tick, tick,
Finish.
tick, tick, tick,
Finish.
tick, 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 tick. There he goes.
And he's at the 20.
Breaking the stereotype.
And that's a touchdown.
Breaking the stereotype.
Lad McConkey. And this is just a week after he had that awesome stutter and go against Tennessee. Lad McConkey locking in.
And Georgia really needed this, and Brandon touched on it. You know, they had a bunch of explosives in this game against Mississippi State. And coming into this game, it had been 20 or Tennessee they had a bunch of explosives when you look at the Tennessee game and then Mississippi State. Coming into that Tennessee game, I believe they had 27 straight quarters of a receiver not catching a ball over 30 yards. Brock Bowers, who's a tight end, which, you know, Brock Bowers isn't everything, whatever. But that's big for Georgia as they go down the stretch because you're going to need big plays. You're not going to be able to bully ball everybody like you did last year and just protect it and win on defense. My witch of the week is Jaden DeLora from Arizona going into UCLA, the Washington State transfer, young kid, 22 of 28, 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown at a QBR at 83.2, went into UCLA, outplayed DTR in that whole offense. Want to give kudos to Jed Fish, too. Delores, we know he was talented. We've seen Arizona offensively. They have some guys that can really do it. He's got to add some pieces on defense. But I tell you what, fellas, don't be shocked if you look up in a couple years and Arizona's contending in the Pac-12. Do not be shocked at all.
And
All right,
that's wild that we're saying that.
that's exactly wild. I mean, we're talking Vandy, UConn, Arizona. What's happening? Is everybody all right?
Kansas, Duke.
Kansas, Duke. Girl, stop. All right, let's get into rapid fire.
Let's do it. All right, hold on here. I have something.
You hit that button.
We go. UFC 281. I believe a couple guys on the show called Alex Pereira knocking out Israel Adesanya.
Who cares?
let's play.
I care.
Let's play the clip. Let's watch Pereira. You want to know how? You want to talk about expectations? Pereira doesn't even get excited after he beats him. Now it is the 5th round, probably pretty gassed, but typically you see that adrenaline hit and everybody freak out when they beat the champ. Let's watch Pereira go ahead and lay Adesanya down. Roll the clip.
Pereira's had his most success to the body tonight.
You can see him here just working him. Oh, that's the one right there. Then he tries to grab. You try to grab, you're going down like a sweet muffin. It's over. Watch him after he finishes him. Watch him after he finishes him.
It's over.
Look at it. Yeah.
That's how you know.
Another
right
day
there.
at the office.
That's how you know.
It's another day at the office. That's the scariest
Yes,
thing.
that's
Not
how you
running
know.
up on the cage and screaming at
I'll do it all day,
Dana
every
White.
day against anyone. That's that look right there.
That's exactly right. I said he was going to knock him out in the 3rd. He knocked him out in the 5th. But hey, coach, great job, coach.
Hey, didn't he? Not even with the kickboxing. Not even with the kickboxing.
Not even with the
bouncing.
kickboxing. By the way, you had a golden Saturday in bed.
Golden Saturday.
6-0, went 10-2
6-0.
on the weekend. Yeah, you're running away with it. All right, what else we got?
What else we got here? Oh, college basketball. It was a fun weekend of college
It
basketball.
was. Colorado beats Tennessee by 12 after losing to Grambling in the first game. College basketball, I love it because we always, we complained about college football and there being no parity and stuff like that. College basketball, we always get parity. It's a different game. There's been some crazy. Temple just beat Villanova. We've had some pretty big shockers. I hate to see that Sheboy's still out for Kentucky. I hope he's able to get that knee right. He had that surgery.
What is the deal with him right now?
Well, he had that off-season knee surgery. I think it was pretty close to the season when he had the arthroscopic. They're just kind of trying to be smart with it. The Kentucky roster guy, I think this is the best team Kentucky's. I think this team's better than the team last year, but that team did lose to St. Peter's. So what does that really mean? You watch Gonzaga play Michigan State on the ship, which I think is so cool. I absolutely love that. I think it was a great idea, whoever came up with it. But Gonzaga, to me, looks like a team. Look, I love Nolan Hickman. I think he's a dog. Drew Timmy's played for 35 years. He's the Sean Clifford of college basketball. But I still think Gonzaga is not a Final Four team after watching them early. There's a long way to go. And everybody say, oh, you're a Gonzaga hater. I don't see anybody that goes in there and says, you know what, you're going to win a fist fight against somebody like you had to do against Arkansas last year and you weren't able to do it. But just looking around the country right now, Alabama, Brandon Miller's
That's
really
what
nice.
I was about to say.
Really, really nice. Auburn struggled a little bit with South Florida, but it's Bruce Pearl. I'm not worried about them. It's just depending on if they're going to make threes. That's what it's going to come down to. Johnny Broom, the center's hurt as well. But looking around the country, the Big Ten, Indiana is going to be really interesting. Trace Jackson Davis coming back, a guy that was a huge part of that
was
team
that,
last
man?
year.
Coming
Humongous.
back.
Humongous. When the guy, we were talking about Indiana the other day, talking about, will they get back to prominence? Consistently, I don't think so, but this year they do have a chance with Trace Jackson Davis. So look, it's going to be a great college basketball season. I'm very interested to see how this rolls. We got some big games coming up. Speaking of Kentucky, they got Michigan State coming up, and Michigan State is an unranked team lost to Gonzaga by 1. Tom Izzo's team that they can fight.
They'll figure it out.
Sadoko down low is an absolute monster for Michigan State. He's been kind of a project the past couple of years. It seems like he's really figured it out. But, man, it's going to be fun to watch this college basketball season as we get closer to conference play. And I love it. College football and college basketball and the NFL.
Same time. I was with the in-laws, so obviously I was watching Alabama basketball. That Brandon Miller kid is unbelievable.
He's got to stay healthy.
Now, you were talking about some of the injuries and surgeries that he's had, so let's see if he can stay healthy. But, man, he's incredible. And Bediako's put on weight, too.
He needed to. Bediako's hands, I think, are the things that they're going to make him go. His hands have to continue to improve, but strength helps with that.
Yeah.
You know, you talk about strong hands for receivers. It's the same in college basketball.
Monday Night Football preview. We got the Eagles versus the Commanders.
Chase Young going to play?
Is he going to play, Blaine?
Is he going to play?
Who?
Chase Young?
I have no idea. I hope not.
It's going to be – you're all right over there?
I'm reading. Yeah.
Okay, good. This game, to me, you obviously – Heineke, I think is going to be the one they're going to roll with. You look at the Eagles, what they've done with Jalen Hurts, and it feels like an easy bet, right? You know, you feel like the Eagles are going to blow them out. The Commanders are going to struggle to score. Typically, the NFL has a funny way of making you pay for assuming what naturally should happen.
That is true.
Is going to happen. But I think now that the Eagles just saw the Cowboys lose, you know, to go 6-3, that was huge for them. The Packers, you know, the Eagles control their own destiny. I think the Eagles win, but part of me, and I don't know what the weather is, I need to look at the weather for this game.
It's supposed to rain all day and then stop at noon.
Stop at noon. Okay, so you may have a little bit of a wet track out there. I like the Eagles. I feel like this is a game where Washington's going to try and sit on the ball, keep Jalen and AJ and Devontae and all those guys off the field. It's a lot better than the Thursday night football matchup we had, at least, or at least at this point. We'll see. I just want good football in the NFL. That's what I want.
Blaine, I think it's 10.5 right now, maybe the spread on
A
that?
lot of points.
How do you feel about that?
A lot of points. Is this game at Washington?
It's in
No,
Philly.
it's in Philly.
Philly?
It's going to rain. It's going to rain all morning and stop at
Then I would like I'd probably like the Commanders to cover. 10.5 is a lot of sports, especially with rain. It's going to be a lot of. The Eagles do what? I mean, they
Run the ball.
They run the ball a lot.
They're a run-to-pass
All
team.
right, they're running past team, and so are the Commanders, especially Heineke's still a quarterback. So I would probably like the under and the Commanders to cover.
Yeah. Do you have Jalen Hurts?
I do, but it won't matter. Yeah.
How about who are you playing?
Are you down right now?
Cleveland. Yeah. Well, Cooper Kupp got 1 point.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, Shapiro had sat Josh Allen because he didn't know if he was going to play, picked up Justin Fields, who just freaks
How
out.
many did he have?
40-something. And then Dalvin Cook takes off for 70 in the fourth quarter and a touchdown. He ended up with like 30-something. And then Derrick Henry gets me like 8 points. Whatever, just, again, to Kirk Cousins, you throw 2 picks. You had like 8,000 yards, but you threw 2 picks and had 1 touchdown. Just tough. Still going to be in second place after this one, second or third. Just got to get to the playoff. You got to get in that 4 and see what happens.
Love it.
All right, Booster Club.
Let's go to Dylan Hammock had a $5 donation. Dylan, but I don't see your message on there. I don't know if you retracted, but try to put a comment underneath so I can get that asked. Let's go to
Give him
Travis.
one of these anyway.
How about that?
Let's go to Travis Elrod, hashtag Crane & Company. Houston became bowl eligible this weekend. What is your overall summary of their season so far?
Letdown. Shoot, I mean, they had to struggle to get past Temple, who's not exactly the Philadelphia Eagles, speak of the devil. So it's been a letdown. I think Dana Holgorsen would tell you it's going to be a letdown. They were a team that some people thought could be the Cincinnati of this year with Clayton Tune coming back, some of the guys they have on offense and on that defense. And, I mean, they've struggled early. Struggled last game. It just hasn't really come together for them, and it's tough to blame it on one thing. I think it's been a multitude of things. They struggled to make explosive plays. It's been a letdown, and I think Dana would tell you that.
Timbo says if Blaine loses to Clavin, he has to write a book. Well, I'm gonna lose at this point. There's no.
What would be the book called?
What would the title be?
The story of how Keenan Allen let me down. Probably.
Setback.
Is he ever going to play again?
Story.
Setback.
Man, I don't know that kid. Half the Chargers are just hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just hurt. I mean, Mike Williams hurt, but it's amazing how Justin Herbert can't breathe but can go out there and play for.
Our pets' heads are falling off.
It's just weird. We had, I think it was Josh Reagan talking about how UNC, no matter if they win the ACC championship, shouldn't make the playoffs because obviously they're not a top 4 team in the nation. They're not.
I would put them ceiling at 5 to 6, but again, if we're going to sit here and play the game of how much does conference championships matter, I think it's because it's not what I think. It's not what he thinks. It's not what Blaine thinks. It's what the committee thinks. And I think the committee would take a one-loss North Carolina ACC conference champion over a one-loss Tennessee team that didn't even win their own division. Is North Carolina better than Tennessee, in my opinion? No. But I think that's the way it's going to shake out, and that's what matters because, again, it's like they say, it doesn't matter, who votes. It's who counts the votes. It's just like in this committee. It doesn't matter what I vote. It's what they vote, what they think. I think they would take that North Carolina team over Tennessee. But, Josh, I think you're right. I think that Tennessee is a better team than North Carolina.
It's going to be tough for them to get in. Very tough.
That's exactly
but
right.
we're at least having the conversation.
Very true.
Let's go to, do we want to do picks for, who do y'all got winning the championship in basketball? Do y'all have anybody yet? College
basketball, Houston.
Houston?
That's funny you say that. I was thinking about
Give me Kelvin Sampson in Houston.
They're about to be so good.
Oh,
It's incredible.
you talk about defense?
Yeah.
Talk about getting in the passing line? Dude, guys,
I love that
passing line
pick,
that much
man.
since last NASCAR race I watched.
Dang, now I'm going to have to pick someone different. But we'll do a whole college basketball.
I'll go ahead and give you mine.
prediction.
Houston.
Houston? I mean, why wouldn't I just take Duke?
Because same reason that they didn't do it last year.
I mean, why wouldn't I? Duke? Is Caleb Love still at North Carolina?
Yes.
Oh, God.
I believe so. You remember how smaller he was than what we thought?
Yeah.
Like, he was, like, my height. Like, I thought everybody else, like, 6'8", walking around. It's like a bunch of trees, speaking of 7-footer island.
Yeah, Caleb Love came back.
Yeah.
All right, that's
He
really
loved
good
it.
for North Carolina. They still got that center, too, who broke the floor at the Final Four.
Yeah.
Let's go to Texas Ed. This is an interesting take right here. It says, Cadillac gets interim coaching job immediately, not racist. Jeff Saturday gets interim coaching job immediately, racist. Hashtag get off my lawn.
Yeah,
the
now do
same week.
Steve Wilkes.
It was the same week.
Now do Steve Wilkes.
Mm-hmm.
Now do Steve Wilkes. It's a joke. It's. I hope Jeff Saturday wins every game, if only for the fact that it would just prove again how much some of these people really do not know about sports. They know nothing about sports. It's The View with a little bit of sports, which is.
And hey, you want the same for Cadillac Williams, don't
Yes.
you? To win every game when he's the interim head coach.
It's absolutely blows my mind. We're the worst. We're just so toxic. It's a Britney Spears song in here. One more and I'm getting over the board.
Dylan Hammock says the season's already in the toilet and the Rams don't even have their first round pick. It's quite sad. I mean,
It is sad.
That was, I still don't understand how you get to the point where that kid's a backup quarterback in the NFL.
Oh, but I will tell him thanks for not letting me hit the under because you decided to throw a touchdown pass to Van Jefferson with 7.
Oh.
Who has their first round pick? When did they get rid of that?
Is it Denver?
We need to look that up. I can't
I think
remember
it
off
was
the top
for
of my head.
Vaughn. No.
No.
I don't know who has the
I don't
first.
know. We'll look it up. While you're looking up,
Might have been the Brandon Cooks trade.
I'm going to head over to the board of Extreme Justice. Let's get the Booster Club leaderboard up here, too. We got some people that have been balling. It's all right. Just put it up when you get a chance.
Rams set to go 7 straight years without a first round pick.
Wow. Did win the Super Bowl, though.
Worth? I guess it was Worth.
All right.
I think it's still from the Matthew Stafford trade.
Interesting. All right. I'm going to get to the bets to tonight. Cone, you had a bet. I'm going to be honest with you. When you mentioned this one, I had to trail this. I had to Oregon trail this. Philadelphia money line and the under at 44.5 is going off at plus 115. I'm going to take that, and I'm also going to take the Eagles -8, and that's going off at minus 156. Pretty much out of it for the month after having an unbelievable month, but this is the betting gods repaying me back for giving me an unbelievable month, which, you know what, I'll totally understand. I'll alternate them. So, yeah, give me Philly money line, under 44.5 as a two-teamer. That's plus 115. Then give me the Eagles -8 at minus 156. Kanye.
Yeah, no, I liked that one. I think the Eagles won the football game. Both have good defenses. The weather's not supposed to be great, so we could even see a situation 28-14, maybe something like that. I also want the Eagles TTP over 27.5. Maybe we hit that 28, and that's going off at plus 110.
Dude, you're on fire.
What's your record? That's
like I'm getting it. Cody's sending me it today. So this
Okay.
is from Friday. I don't know what you went on Friday, last Friday.
Oh, yeah, I went 1-1.
You went 1-1, so then you went 10-2 this weekend. So you are 26-16 on the month.
Let's go.
Love to see
Yeah,
it.
well, let's keep it up.
Give me. All right, I get a mustache, I get killed in fantasy, and get 1-5 on a Sunday. So give me. It's already bad juju. Give me Dallas Goddard, anytime touchdown, plus 200. Can't wait for that not to hit. And give me first pass complete for both teams. So please, Jalen will dump off. Heineke, I can't wait.
What are the odds on that?
I can't wait for you to plus 120.
I like that.
Yeah, so I can't wait for Heineke to force the ball down the field and ruin everybody's time. But hey, give me that. I'm having a great time.
Two
guys.
checkdowns.
Yeah, I'm having a great time. This is fun.
All right, baby. Baby Cone wants Jalen Hurts minus a half touchdown versus Tyler Heineke. So he needs one more touchdown than Tyler Heineke's responsible for. Take your hands off my Heineke. And then he wants the Avs on the puck line minus 1.5. That's going off at plus 120.
Avalanche are hot, boys.
We have
They're cold.
So really,
Nice.
everyone's a dog bet except two. God, woke up and chose violence for real. All right, Boostetta Collab. Give me the questions.
Let's go let's go ahead and do this poll. Might as well.
Poll?
Does Vanderbilt football have expectations, fellas?
Can you just say the fans? Like, I don't want the players to think I don't think they have expectations, or the coaches. You wouldn't spend all that time. It's the fans. So if we're talking about the fans, I'm going to say personally, I think no. But I know the Booster Club, they're going to say yes at 63%.
Yes, 62%.
No, 61%. Yes, 39%.
Yes! I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
Anchor down.
You love to see it.
M. Hutton says, Xavier basketball, don't sleep on my Muskies in the Big East. We have a huge game versus Indiana on Friday.
Yeah, it's just hard for me to trust Xavier because every time I think you got, like y'all had the J.P. McCurry kid a couple years ago, last year or whatever it was, really believed in you guys, but Xavier always lets me down when it comes to the tournament time.
Look, I'm just watching college football, guys. Like, same thing with that UFC fight. I'm
handle the
watching
basketball,
Pac-12
too.
after dark.
I'll handle the
That's what I'm
basketball,
doing.
too.
All right. I'll watch basketball when it's basketball season.
Duke's ranked 7 right now.
7? What's wrong?
Rumor has it it's your fault.
Who's top 6?
North Carolina, Gonzaga, Houston, Kentucky, Kansas, and Baylor.
Yeah, I can't
The
wait.
usual suspects.
Can't wait for
What monsters does Baylor have running around this year?
Who knows?
All right, let's go to JJ. Says Michigan see Georgia in the playoff. There's not a person on the team on Michigan that can stop Jalen Carter.
Look, I think Michigan's offensive line is good enough to be able to get yards, but like keeping Jalen, I don't think you stop Jalen Carter. I think you just try and minimize the damage. Like now, though, without Nolan Smith, you can do some things that kind of opens up ways to kind of neutralize them. But the difference between Michigan this year and Michigan last year is J.J. McCarthy can scramble out of trouble. Cade McNamara couldn't. That's, you talk about explosive plays, and when the play breaks down, guys making big plays. I think that's the difference a little bit with Michigan this year, where they can be a lot scarier on offense, especially in the red zone with that quarterback run game, whether it's by design or by creation. I think Michigan's a little bit more dangerous this year.
Michigan match up with Georgia, like you would need J.J. McCarthy to play his best game of the season.
Oh, without a doubt.
Asking a lot for a young kid against the defending national championship. He would have to do that, plus everything else would have to be working, but it's not impossible.
And also, he has the experience of that playoff game playing against Georgia, so I don't think he'd be overwhelmed going into it. I think just going through the process of the lead up and stuff you have to do, you're used to it. But all right, let's get to the Booster Club leaderboard. All right, here we go. Remember, 12-0 gets you in the Hall of Fame. Dinkin Flicka, 27, is 9-0. Cody Nason, 95.
Cody!
The graphic king, or the king of getting graphic, depends on where you live. He's 5-0. Sasha Booster Club's 4-0. Tyson's right hook, Ulrich Sharber, Portman Towit, BJPS on 9XU13, Neftink, JT Bryan are all 2-0, and our buddy Kyle Jenkins is 1-0. Remember, we have the Google form that I put in the tweet. You click in that Google form, it tracks everything except your whereabouts and bank statements. So we'll know what you do when it comes to betting. So make sure you check that out.
Definitely not tracking your bank statement.
Definitely not.
Definitely not.
Definitely
If you
not.
want to put your social in there, you can too.
Yeah, no, don't do that.
No, let's go to Heather Mama with a $5 donation.
Thank you, Heather.
Heather Mama. She
Heather
says,
Mama.
Jake was right this weekend. Auburn Tigers would fill a stadium in a blizzard with a meteor headed for Jordan Hare. Definitely a national brand opportunity.
It is, and also we didn't talk about TCU in Texas today. I want to make sure we show some love. We're going to give it some love on the show tomorrow. Huge win for TCU. We're kind of looking at the teams that are not undefeated right now, that aren't shoo-ins if they go undefeated. But it was a defensive battle, like we talked about on Friday. I said I thought this would be more of a defensive game. At least one of these three games, Washington, Oregon, Texas, TCU, and Wake Forest, North Carolina, one of them was going to be more of a defensive battle than what people thought. It turned out to be TCU and Texas. Fantastic defensive style game. Not because guys were limiting possessions, because guys were getting stops. There's a big difference in that. That was a fun game for me to watch.
Yeah.
Dude, TCU, we all just lose.
Why do you want TCU?
Why do you?
lose?
I want to see Tennessee in the playoff.
That could still
The
happen.
world wants to see Tennessee in the playoff.
Why can't we have both?
We just can't.
Why not?
How?
What do you mean?
What do you mean how?
Who?
USC loses.
Because
North Carolina loses to NC State, then beats Clemson in the ACC championship.
they're not going to lose to NC State. Who does NC State have a quarterback? Exactly.
The Chambers
exactly.
guy.
Devin
Crazier stuff
Leary's
has happened.
backup. Is who they have at
stuff has
quarterback.
happened.
Okay?
Chambers.
That's his name. That's what I'm
Jack
saying.
Chambers.
His name is Devin Leary's backup.
Jack Chambers of Secrets.
His name is Devin Leary's
And here, the
backup.
secret's out.
And you'll put some respect on his
Hey,
name.
the secret-
I will not.
But even if Clemson goes, even if you have a one-loss Clemson ACC championship champion, you don't think that Tennessee could get in over them? Right now, clearly
Apparently,
committee.
Brandon Marcello came on here and the conference championship matters to the committee. It's in their top 5 criteria. So you
is
tell
Brandon Marcello voting on the committee?
I don't know. I have no idea, but I mean,
Your
the
mustache
committee said what? Conference champion. Even the ACC, who's terrible. I mean, if Clemson loses one game, even if it's at Notre Dame, they're going to get in over Tennessee, who lost.
Clemson's not getting in over Tennessee.
ACC champion?
Huh? No, Clemson's not getting in over Tennessee, I don't think. I think North Carolina can get in. I want to see, wait till those college football playoff rankings come out. Then I'll have a much better view of how this thing's going to go down, because I'll know. See where Tennessee is, see where Clemson is, then we'll find out. All right? That's how that works.
The college football world wants Tennessee in that playoff.
I don't think you're
Not
wrong.
TCU.
I don't think you're wrong.
Not TCU, not Clemson, not North Carolina. Hell, probably not even USC. All right? They want to see Tennessee, Georgia, first matchup on the playoff, neutral site.
They made a statement this
Neutral
past
site. No,
weekend.
let's bring TCU in here to get slaughtered. To get slaughtered.
You're a TCU fan. Tell them your handle, Blaine.
Man,
At Blaine_Crane. Y'all giving up 30. Y'all averaging 38 points giving up on defense.
Y'all
How
give
about
up
this past
10 to
weekend
Texas.
to Texas?
Congrats, you had
your
one.
def- your-
The
your
defense didn't
prediction,
stop
your
anybody.
champion.
These offenses couldn't figure it out. You're giving up 35
Don't
plus.
you can't say
You're giving up
you had
35
Texas
plus
winning the
against
conference.
unranked opponents.
You had Texas winning the conference.
35 points against unranked opponents.
Did you just
and
say-
you think they're going to walk in here and beat those things from Georgia?
Don't do that. Don't flip it on me that I said that they would beat Georgia. Don't try
What
to
do you
do
disagree?
that.
What are you disagreeing with me?
I'm saying I don't understand your hate for TCU
It's
right
not a
now.
hate,
Why
it's
is there so
not-
much
whoa,
bias?
I just don't know. I just don't know on one hand. I don't know on one hand how you can say.
You hate them.
I don't know how on one hand you can say.
I don't hate anybody.
Cone. I don't know how on one hand you can say the defense didn't get stops, the offense just couldn't figure it out. What does that mean?
Missing open passes, stupid penalties. Texas and penalties was just terrible. The worst
Nervous.
game all year.
I tell you,
Nervous.
Tennessee's defense isn't that great. While you're going off on defenses, go ahead and go off on
Damn,
theirs.
they're averaging
Now,
in the SEC giving up like 20 points a game.
I don't know about that. They gave up 24 to Missouri this past weekend. Did play well in the second half. I don't look at this Tennessee defense and see like an elite defense. Now, if they can just outscore everyone, they score more points, you win the football game, kind of like what we were talking about with the Buckeyes too. Congratulations, but they're nothing to write home about.
Well, they're a lot better than TCU's defense. I know that.
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
see. We'll see.
Like-
Make sure you
just
hit that.
Actually.
Look, I would take Tennessee if they.
I know you
play. I'm
would.
just saying.
I know you would. And I guarantee if that Tennessee plays Georgia week 1, that's going to be 20 plus points.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Got a big time show tomorrow. A big game boomer's going to come on. We're going to drop our list of the week. We got rankings, everything coming out. Going to hit the NFL hard tomorrow. So make sure you check us out on all social media, TikTok, all that good stuff, Face Chat, Book Snap, and all the delicious apps and whatever alien store they have on your phone. We appreciate you guys. You're the best audience in the business. Remember, without you, there is no us. Keep spreading the word. And like the chances of Christian Watson doing what he did this weekend again this year, we're going. Gone.